Hello, everyone. This is David Rothfitter again with the last session of our first playtest campaign. I've done other playtests before, but the first multi-session playtest of Yumi and the Zombie. Last session, we kind of were finding some of the flaws in the game and where the game stops. And, we kind of discussed it, and we kind of figured out that this is actually a dynamic that happens in real families, but is not necessarily a good dynamic it's not a good dynamic for the families, but it's not an interesting dynamic for a game either. So we kind of had some discussions trying to figure out where to go from there, and we decided to kind of wrap it up for last week, give some thought about it, and then come back this week and see what we could do about it. And, we discussed it a little bit before the broadcast. What we're going to do is we're going to actually go into the final crisis, but rather than have it a summation of the game, we're actually going to play out the scenes building up where the ball drops, have some more interpersonal conflict before we actually get to the resolution. That said, let's go ahead and do some summaries. And this time, instead of just summarizing last session, because last session was pretty short, let's go ahead and talk about, have each character share what they think has been important in the game so far to their character. And I'd like to start off with our changed Aaron.
Hi, I'm Ryan playing Aaron, the changed, and see what's been important so far. The major thing that's been important is my need to eat people comes on very rapidly, and I don't always have a Tupperware full of human with me, or I never do, so I keep randomly killing people, which is awkward because my twin sister Barb has kind of specific ideas about who is okay to kill and why, and I don't always have time for a moral discussion when I'm needing to chomp someone's face and not wanting it to be someone I live with. So, okay. But Alex getting up and running away was appropriate, given that in my backstory I tried to take a bite out of Claire once. But also Chris, who works for Barb, is on to me, and I tried to kind of intimidate him into leaving me alone, but I don't know how well that worked out. I think that's a lot of my stuff. I could just summarize the entire thing. Oh, wait, a guy who may or may not be Ryan Reynolds is trying to kill me. There we go. That was important too.
May or may not be trying to kill you. He hasn't done anything specifically against you yet.
We saw him toss heads out of a van. I'm interpreting that as a general sort of threat.
Well, yes, just he hasn't targeted you yet. Well, let's move on to Claire. Claire, what has been important to your character so far?
I think with regards to the family, sort of started out with this whole thing where Erin was not really telling the full truth about her dietary needs, and saying, oh, rare steak is probably fine, that sort of thing. And that quickly fell apart and resulted in Erin eating a cop. So, I mean, I think that whole things have just sort of gotten worse from there. And Claire feels like it's their responsibility to be keeping the family safe and together, and it's wearing. Especially since they've also had a lot of career advancement opportunities, especially since the chief of police, who Claire met and ate with, got bit and is now acting like a change as well, all impulsive and kind of irrational, straight up declaring war on ICE, which is not something I or Claire has a problem with, but is unexpected for a chief of police. I think, and So, sort of the opportunity to get out of food blocking and start writing about politics and current events has been those opportunities have been presenting themselves lately, but that takes time and work. And Claire is also feeling the pull of trying to keep this family from being arrested or hunted down by celebrities.
Okay. And finally, Barbara.
Hi, so I'm Ryan. I'm playing Barbara, and I think the stuff that's been important for Barbara. I mean, we've hit on some of the obvious points. I mean, on the one hand, she's worried about keeping Aaron safe from our R. Reynolds character. She's worried about Chris, her employee, and how he's found out about what's going on, largely in part to Barb kind of letting it slip. I think too, though, in reference to Aaron, Barb is trying to come to terms with what Aaron is changing into, and not just trying to rationalize it, but trying to see it from her point of view, that it's not something that she can control, it's who she is. So trying to grapple with that. And then there's the big ice stuff, which I think has been Barb's kind of focal point for a lot of, at least the last couple of sessions. She likes to think that she's a crusader, and so now she's got a crusade. So I think those are probably the two big points: keeping Aaron as safe as she can and taking on ice, which might not always line up.
Okay, excellent. Well, as I said last session, we sort of encountered some issues with the game, and what I'm going to try to do for this last session is kind of advance the time. I was thinking about a year, so that we can kind of advance where some of the conflicts could be brewing internally in the family. Now, did I just robot there? Okay, it looked like I might have been roboting on my end. So what I was thinking when when I was going over and thinking about it, is I think what likely has happened was Claire has continued writing on the political beat and has been getting more and more attention, whereas Barbara has been doing a lot of community activism and organization, and has really helped scale up the citizen response to this. Meanwhile, the police chief has become a very polarizing figure, and there have been several attempts of trying to remove her from office. But considering she's married to the mayor, it's been a big struggle that that she has slowly been losing, but slowly has been losing. So that's kind of how the year has progressed. And I'm guessing Erin has basically been doing what she's been trying to do, which is trying not to cause more issues for the family. And that has been really stressful. Like, you have barely gone out. You have been like hoarding food. Like, you are basically leashed to refrigerators or cold boxes or something, so that you always have food on you. Constant paranoia, and yeah, it's not a great position for Erin. But it probably feels to Claire and Barbara that, hey, things have kind of settled out with Aaron, right? There's not really any major incidents. The number of random deaths are down. There's no problems, right? That's how I was kind of imagining how the last year might have progressed. What do you guys think about that? Because obviously you play your characters, so you should definitely have input on that. I was just kind of building up a scenario that I think works towards where we were
leading. I thought that all sounded pretty good. I think Claire is like fairly good at reading people, especially their family, and would probably have some sense that Aaron is not super content, but also they have a lot going on in their own life, career-wise, and just they're a lot busier these days. So it's probably sort of a remaining willfully ignorant of any larger problem, even if Claire does sense that Aaron may not be super stoked about her situation. I also think Claire probably doesn't work for Veronica anymore. Like, probably has moved up. Probably is in like infrequent contact. Like, I don't think they were really friends, but business acquaintances.
Yeah, you're probably like doing writing freelance for some of the major papers in town. Yeah. Maybe you still do some work for Veronica, but it's probably more on a freelance basis.
Yeah. So that all sounds good to me.
And I liked that detail last time of Claire like chopping up human meat to try to make it look like a nice lunch for Aaron and stuff. So I hope that some of that has been going on still, but it's we're having a nice polite moment, but you're very busy and I don't want to impose, and just kind of Aaron keeping her head down going, I'm holding on a job and I haven't eaten random passerby. Everything is awesome.
Yeah. Maybe Claire like tries to do very thoughtful things like, hey, yeah, Aaron, I made you lunch today. Sorry, can't chat. Have to go out the door. Maybe that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good image, and I think that is.
Aaron's super proud of you. Keep working super hard. You're doing so well.
Thanks, bud. You're so supportive.
Barbara, did that sound like good to you? Anything you want to add, change?
No, I think that makes sense, and I think what Alex was saying about Claire being, would notice if Aaron was, unhappy, Claire would notice. I think Aaron or Barb would probably be this similar, since they're sisters, and so the idea that Aaron is really trying her best to kind of like keep it together would make sense for both Barbara and Claire, kind of allowing them to be willfully ignorant about what's going on. Yeah.
I think in some ways that might actually be somewhat reassuring to Barb, because if she's just going like work, home, do this thing, very habitual, that's the old Aaron instead of the new impulsive chomping faces Aaron.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's go ahead and do the desires for the beginning of the session. I didn't create any new rules for you, Aaron, just because it's the last session. I'm not trying to, I've tried to implement new rules like that in other games that I play tested midway through sessions, and it ends up confusing more than it helps, has been my experience. So, since this is not a permanent game, I didn't think that that sort of thing was a good idea. So we'll just kind of keep how your desires work the same. Barbara and Claire need to choose your desires, and 3 black chips are going in the bag.
So I have one desire sort of figured out currently, which is pursue a major career opportunity, which I feel is not specific enough. And I was wondering if I could get some, I guess, brainstorming inspiration from the group for a more specific example of that to implement as a desire.
What if it was this session your desire, which reminder, you get green chips in the bag for pursuing your desire, not necessarily means achieving your desire is pursuing your desire. But if you just take steps towards achieving it, that still gets you green chips in the bag. Maybe getting a permanent job offer from a major publication. That might be, maybe getting a staff writing position would be like a good desire then, or getting a job offer for it. That way, anything like going to an interview, networking, things like that can go towards pursuing your desire.
Okay. Writing that down now. I'm gonna think on a second desire as well.
Hey, David, for these desires, are long-term things appropriate, or do we want more short-term session things?
It's all about things that you can be pursuing instead of maintaining the family. So you don't want to have it so nebulous that it's like, hey, this is a big, massive undertaking, but something that can take several sessions to accomplish is perfectly all right. Which is like getting the staff offer, or the staff writing position offer is definitely something that's not something that's necessarily going to happen in a single session, but there are concrete things that they can do towards pursuing that. I mean, buying a house could work, or it could be like small things, like we've been doing in the past. So just as long as it's not super open-ended and super hard to tell if something's in pursuit of it or not, it should work out. And in future versions, I'm going to work to make to try to make it easier to come up with those desires.
Okay, so I have a second desire idea, and I want to run this by you guys, which is my idea is that sort of, even if they don't have a specific job offer yet, that like all the major places she's looking at in the city have offices sort of clustered in like downtown, and I think maybe we're not living so close there, so I think one of the desires would be for Claire would be to find an apartment to move closer to downtown.
You're looking to move
afford
out.
It. Yes. Yeah. They can afford it, and are maybe, even though things have been going better, they can, I think Claire may be chafing a little bit under the stress of the family.
That is brutal. I love it. I already know what the first scene's going to be, which is different than what I thought the first scene was going to be.
Have we seen anything from R. Reynolds over the past year?
Yes. You get little snippets that suggesting that he's around. Claire, you've seen a couple of scares on the on the chief of police does tend to have an armed escort, and there's been a couple of times where you've been talking with the police chief, and something is spooked the escort. They haven't caught anybody yet, but there's definitely been some hints of things going on. In addition, both Barbara and Claire have had follow-up interviews with the police chief where she's kind of grilled both of you, trying to get more details on this R. Reynolds. Like even months and months after your interactions, she's been like, comes in and like very, very aggressively drilling you to try to get more information on this guy.
Yeah, I think they might no longer be. Claire, it might not be really interested in like friendly lunches with Chief Rodriguez anymore.
I mean, she's still generally friendly, but you can kind of tell when something has happened that makes Chief Rodriguez really want to find this guy.
I was thinking that for Barb, I mean, since she's starting to get this kind of advocating for immigrant rights, I mean, and we already know that she was an advocate, at least in her own life, for animal rights. I mean, why not the rights of the changed? And I mean, I don't know how she would do that, but I mean, knowing that there's somebody hunting, people like her sister down, I don't know.
There's two big barriers to that being a desire. Number one, undeath is still a secret, so you could really only be an advocate if it's a known issue. Number two, that is really something in support of the family, which is an absolute thing that your character may want to pursue, but it does not, it's not that quite that type of desire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe I have a suggestion.
Go for it.
Maybe you press charges on the officer for the assault, and you want to see him guilty, and maybe we're dealing with the trials around now.
Yeah, so I phrased that as getting justice for being assaulted. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to do it, but it was just something that came off the top of my head. And I'm like, hey, that's something that Barbara probably wants.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, and I think it's important for Barb to think about it in terms of justice, because she feels like she's been wronged, and maybe that not just her, but everyone that's been victims of these officers. So
excellent. So we are opening up, and it is the morning in the apartment. And Barbara, you have an appointment with your with the prosecutor this morning to go over um, basically the questions that he'll ask during the trial, as well as the questions that he thinks that the defense attorney will likely ask during the trial. Claire, you're going through the paper looking for ads for apartments, or maybe you're doing it on the computer. You're researching apartments, and Aaron, you're watching Claire planning on leaving you.
Well, I wanted to say, well, first, yeah, I think Claire's a modern person and probably is not looking in the newspaper for apartments. But I'm wondering if actually maybe Claire hasn't really made it clear to anybody else that they're looking at other apartments yet, and is like is would not necessarily. I don't know. What do you think?
Hiding things from the family is my thing. How
I
dare
know,
you?
right? It's not like actively hiding. It's just like, oh, they've been looking at other places.
I think that it's setting up for, if this was if we had more sessions, I totally would understand the secret. But I think, for setting up the tension for this session, I personally would, I think it would be better if Aaron and Barbara are aware of it and are, because we're trying to instill some more family tension going into the session.
That sounds good then, yeah.
That was my thoughts on it.
It's also been a year, so it's possible that they've kept it secret for a while, and it's just now that we're finding out.
At some point, Claire became sure enough of this desire to move downtown that they told Aaron and Barb. And yeah, so I imagine Claire just on their laptop on like apartmentguide.com or whatever.
Yeah,
Zillow.
Maybe what happened was you were keeping it secret. You had a place all lined up. You told the family, and then it fell through.
Ooh.
And then they were like, okay, you're staying. And then you're like, nope, got to find a new place.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, that's the scene. Basically, yeah, you're apartment hunting, and Aaron, you're watching one of your best friends planning on leaving you.
Yeah, I think Aaron just kind of grabs her, like cubed person snack or something and kind of sits down at the table like, oh, that one's pretty nice. I mean, nice windows, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the flooring though. I don't want a repeat of the situation here,
I know. I mean, one fridge busts and suddenly you've got to replace the whole thing. It's just such a mess.
Because that totally wasn't my fault or anything.
Well, it could have happened to anybody. I mean, it was a water bomb waiting to go off.
Exactly. No, there's a lot of nice looking places. And my budget has expanded, so though it's hard to still a little limited until I actually have employment in a steady fashion.
And I mean, you can definitely stay here as long as you want. You've got a room already, so.
I know, and I appreciate. I think, it's if I'm going to be working downtown, it is a little out of the way, and since I'm not, the hope is I'm not going to be working from home anymore.
Yeah. It's going to be weird around here without you, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's two twins living together. But yeah, it'll be weird. Be weird living on my own.
Mm-hmm. And through all this, I'm still munching bits of people. But.
Hey, Barbara, it's time for you to head out to your appointment.
All right, guys. Well, look, I gotta go. Claire, good luck with the apartment search. Aaron,
Thanks.
I'll check in later.
Okay, do you want moral support or anything, or you got this?
No, look, it's fine. We've been talking about it for a while. I'll be good. Thanks,
Okay.
though.
Cool. Bye.
Good luck.
Hey, so Aaron, you are working today, right?
Probably. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. At some point you'll have to leave for the morning.
Mm-hmm. I'll finish my thing of people kind of get back to the sink to wash it out and then go change into my uniform. I assume there's got to be a polo shirt or something.
Yeah.
Fruity Peoples instead of Fruity Pebbles. I don't know. I was trying to think of a people-based cereal pun, and that was the best I could think of off the top of my head.
Yes.
Cocoa Peoples, of course, as well.
I think it's Chuck Mix. Instead of Chex Mix.
But I'm not allowed to eat Chuck, so ideally it's not him.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just
Chuck a good guy?
Maybe it's just life cereal.
Oh, that's terrible.
I love that so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. I mean, I think Claire is fairly focused on the apartment hunting and probably tapping back and forth into work stuff as well. Mm-hmm. It's not really fully there conversationally.
Okay. Well, Aaron, on your walk to work, you notice that there is a big black van following you.
Okay, then I'm gonna cut through the block and kind of take a pedestrian path that I don't think a van can follow very easily.
Yeah.
And see how determined they are to follow me.
Yeah, you kind of turn your head, when you're walking the pathway, and the van kind of goes down the street and makes a turn, and you kind of you kind of lose sight of it. Oh, are we going to be making puns all night?
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the van loops around and is trying to like triangulate me or something.
Yeah, it's you're not entirely sure what's going on with it, but you know, actually, when you get to work, you do see there is a black van in the parking lot of the grocery market.
Oh. Well, that's an exciting problem, but I'm not going to have it out in the parking lot of my workplace. So I'm going to go into work and be on time.
Okay. Hey, Claire, you got an email.
Oh, let's open that bad boy up.
It's from the New York Times.
Jesus, what does
You
the New
don't
York
live
Times
in New
want?
York, but it sure is from the New York Times.
What does the New York Times want?
They're asking you to fly out to New York for an interview.
I mean, yeah. I'm gonna try to make that work. That's a hell of an opportunity. It's like, I wasn't even looking there. I was looking at more slightly smaller local publications, websites and stuff. I mean, what sort of time frame are they suggesting?
They'd like you out there next week.
I assume that's doable, given my schedule.
You can make it work. Definitely. But I don't know. It's New York. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think the way Claire is thinking it's just an interview. It's probably not going to go anywhere, but also it would be crazy not to take the interview.
Yeah, let me see. They do want to have a phone conversation with you first, but they're
Sure.
asking to book the in-person interview and the phone conversation at the same time.
That seems weird. But I think Claire is down. I think they'll just, look at their schedule right now and try to start rearranging things to fit
Yeah.
a last minute trip to New York.
Okay. By the way, I'm setting up Final Crisises.
What? Really?
So Barbara, you get to your appointment with the lawyer, and it's very you've been over this 100 times. They ask you this question. This is how you answer it like this. They say try to avoid saying that. Say it more like this. They're coaching. They're definitely coaching you to be as prepared of a witness as possible. How do you feel about that? At what point do you say, hey, this type of answer is crossing the line between being dishonest or that's not exactly true? Like they're definitely trying to get you to say very specific things when it actually comes time for the trial.
Yeah. Well, so I think we established early on, maybe the first session, that Barbara got her sense of morality from too many philosophy courses. So, I mean, on the one hand, she probably appreciates the nuance of kind of hedging and saying just the right thing. However, if they are coaching her to the point that she doesn't feel like she's being truthful, then she's not going to be happy. So I guess it depends on what side of that line they're falling on and what they're trying to get her to say and not to say.
There's been a couple of things that you think that they were the lawyers have been crossing the line on, but if you voice that you're not comfortable with that, they've dropped it.
Yeah, I think that would happen if I can't think of but yeah, if they've said anything that would make her feel like they're asking her to be dishonest, then she would totally voice her opposition to that.
Yeah. So he finishes up doing that, and then he says, "Well, okay, I think we're in a good place for this. What I want you to do is spend tomorrow. Don't do anything stressful. Stay calm. Don't think too much about the trial. So that way, the day after when we're actually in court, you're going to be calm. You're not going to be stressed out. Do you think you can do that?"
So are you? So you're just telling me to just hang out tomorrow?
Yeah, try to treat tomorrow as normal of a day as possible. So that way, the day after when we're in court, you're not freaking out over it.
So by normal, you mean go ahead and have my Know Your Rights seminar in the bookstore so I can let the immigrant community know what they should and shouldn't be on the lookout for? That kind of keeping it normal?
I mean, look, I can't tell you, I can't tell you what to, what works for you and what doesn't. If it were me, I would probably cancel, take the evening, watch a bunch of Netflix. But hey, if this is what calms you down, go ahead and do that. That said, there actually is one other thing though. So I do a lot, I do a lot of pro bono. I do a lot of extra work for the ACLU. Volunteer some time, and they're actually looking for a national community organizer, someone who goes to the different marches, pays attention, informs people what their rights are at those marches. If there is an incident, be able to point people in the right direction. We can't necessarily, it's not necessarily something that we want to get someone with a law degree doing, just because anyone who's a lawyer, we want them out in courts working these cases. But you've been building up a pretty good name in the community. I think you'd get some respect nationwide, and you've got passion. So if you'd like, I can get you hooked up with my contacts at the ACLU.
So Barb is squealing on the inside, but trying to play it cool. So she goes, yeah, that sounds like something I could do. Do you have a card or something?
I mean, I gave you my card when we first met, but I mean, I'll shoot.
So you're not going to hook us up? Okay, no, that's cool. That's cool.
I mean, I don't have my contacts card. No.
Okay.
I can forward you their contact information later today.
Sure. Sorry, that sounds good.
You're a little nervous, huh?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Look, if it happens, great. It's a great opportunity. I think you're exactly what they're looking for. I can tell you, when you talk to them, just keep it casual. That's what they're looking for. Someone who, someone who can be passionate in their everyday life.
Casual. I can do that. So when you say casual, do you mean like kind of reserved casual, like laid back casual? I mean, I just want to get it right.
Don't try to get it right. Be yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll call you tomorrow night, make sure everything's okay, and then we'll see you in court on Thursday.
Sounds good. Okay, thanks. And up out of the seat, probably trips over herself, and then out the door.
So, Aaron, you're working the deli counter, and this tall, kind of blonde guy, comes up. He, bright blue eyes. He's kind of looking a bit disinterested. And he's like,
Does he look dreamy and Canadian?
he looks very dreamy and very Canadian. Like, hi, what do you recommend?
Aaron kind of hems and haws and looks at the food and everything and just kind of quietly says, really, if you're looking for something worth recommending, oh my goodness. Sorry, in the chat, they just said chimichangas. Yeah. We don't really have much, but...
He looks down the whole
like JoJo potatoes
full of meat
or something. I mean, and it's unremarkable deli food here. I mean, potato salad. It's fun. Tastes like a picnic.
So why don't you can I try a slice of the ham?
Oh, sure. I will grab some ham.
Yeah,
just slicer.
Yeah, he takes a slice and tears off a bite. He's like, this is delicious. You should try some.
I can't eat the supply while I'm working.
Oh, come on, it's fine.
Also, I'm vegetarian.
Working at the meat counter?
Like I said, eating the supply isn't a work requirement.
It's an odd choice. Takes another bite out of the ham.
You do what you gotta.
Well, I'll be seeing you around, Aaron. He walks out in his skinny black suit.
Mr. Reynolds. I'm gonna immediately turn to Rashmi and be like, so that was totally Ryan Reynolds, right? I mean, right? It's not just me.
I'm sorry, I was texting this whole time.
Oh my goodness. Fine. I'm gonna go back to just kind of chewing on probably like the dried red dyed jellies we have for our Chinese or something, where it's unpleasantly hot, but I can kind of chew on them and spit them out, and it feels like something. It's more interesting than just sitting here.
So, so Claire, do you book a flight?
Absolutely.
Green chip into the bag.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely not gonna pass this opportunity up. And I think Claire is sort of like, well, it's just they're not really thinking of it as, oh, I might be moving to New York, because they don't really think of they don't think anything's actually going to come of it, but it would still be stupid to like not take the interview. And also, hey, trip to New York. I think maybe they might see if they can clear more of their schedule and try to invite Aaron and Barb along, like make it a little bit of a trip. Where at one point they have to go and do an interview.
Excellent. So, Barbara, you get back to the bookstore, and waiting in your email is the contact information for, I'm not going to come up with an NPC, someone at the ACLU. Someone else wants to create the NPC, go right ahead.
ACLU Johnny.
Sure. ACLU Johnny. How do you respond to, that means you've got the contact information.
Yeah, so I think Barb is going to take way too long to write an email to Johnny. Of course, mentioning that she knows, she's going to name drop her lawyer, probably play up the fact that this has to do with her work with immigrant rights, and then note that the lawyer mentioned this possible position with the ACLU. Probably attach her resume and send it off. See what happens.
Yeah. So you send it off. By the way, it's fine that we don't use every NPC. They're really there so that if I need a person, I can go ahead and grab them.
Yeah, I know. I just like Ted with 2 Ds is all.
You all three have had very interesting days. I'm going to let you kind of the days finish playing out and for you to come together at home.
Hey, you guys want to take a trip to New York?
Ryan Reynolds was at work. Oh, what? What did you say?
Ryan Reynolds or the
okay, the guy who really looks like Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he was up close. He looked like Ryan Reynolds, and he was like going, "Oh, you have the best ham ever. You should eat the ham." And it was super weird, but he's maybe
all the better reason
Ryan
to take
Reynolds.
a vacation.
He can be super strange.
How do you guys feel about taking a vacation to New York next week?
That sounds awesome.
Well, I'd have to see if I can close up the bookstore. Maybe Chris.
Barb,
Chris can take care of it.
You're really thinking about staying here to run a bookstore when you can go to New York.
Responsibilities here. I can't just close the bookstore for a week.
Chris can. I feel like Chris
keys.
can handle it.
Yeah.
He's a douchebag, but he can handle it.
Well, I'll talk to Chris and I'll see.
Hey, I think that Aaron just convinced a family member to relish in the joys of life, right?
Sounds like it.
Love those green chips.
Better than black chips.
Yeah. I will. I was thinking like 3-4 days. One of those days I will be interviewing with the New York Times. What?
You didn't lead with that you have an interview at the New York Times? Oh my goodness.
I know, I'm sorry. That's what they say in journalism school. Don't bury the lead.
I know. You're so bad at this. How are you possibly going to pass this interview? Come on.
No. I'm not.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, like, nothing's going to come of it, but if I'm going to New York anyway, I figure, hey, let's
don't
make
fuck
a thing
yourself
of it.
down. They wouldn't ask you to fly in if they didn't think you had a shot at it. Come on.
Fair enough, I guess. But like, come on. New York. Anyway, so yeah, trip to New York. Do some research, I guess. Find out if there's anything specific you want to check out. Find out if the Statue of Liberty is edible.
I didn't know that licking the Statue of Liberty was on my agenda until now. But okay, yeah, that's on there.
I'm just kidding. I don't think the Statue of Liberty is made of actual human meat. But you never know. All right, cool. I'm glad we can like make this a family thing.
So you're allowed to bring your own food on planes, right? I haven't flown in a long time. It's okay. I'll work it out somehow.
It would have to be brought through security, and if it's like packaged
packed in a clear plastic bag so TSA can see it.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's just like dried meat, like
Ugh, dried meat, that's disgusting.
Yeah, man.
That's not really something you can Google, is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure Google's going to tell us if we can take human flesh on the airplane.
How to bring your own food onto an airplane. Hold up, I'm out of character actually going to Google this.
I'm pretty sure you can just bring
out of
food,
character.
but...
Like, I don't think it's really an issue, but in character, I think Garrett's a little bit worried about smuggling along a few days worth of food supply.
Yeah, if you're bringing a meal for the plane, that's one thing. If you're trying to bring enough food for a week, that's all human flesh and needs to be constantly refrigerated.
Does it? You could pack it in a suitcase, probably. With no, that might. It's possible. Those do go through X-rays, don't they?
We could make it a road trip.
Oh. No, I mean...
No, I mean, I can just, like,
how far are we from New York?
Put it in an igloo container.
I don't know if we've decided how far we are from New York.
Is a road trip, like, feasible, or do we live on the West Coast?
I think you would have to... Let's say it's a multi-day affair to road trip out.
Eek.
Okay. And out of character, I'm going, but wait, people ship, salmon and stuff all the time, and just by duct taping it into an igloo container and putting a, baggage tag on it. So
yeah,
should be doable.
You ship salmon, like cut it up and so it looks like steaks. It should be fun. Alternatively, you find somebody terrible to eat while there.
Yeah, I mean, I know New York is full of people. I just didn't want to start you off on the wrong foot here. So,
I mean, it sort of, we crossed that line already. It really depends on who is being eaten here.
Okay, I mean, I'll make it work. And Aaron's just going to run away to start packing for this trip, because this is the best thing, the coolest thing.
How you doing, Barb?
I'm good. Just had the meeting with my lawyer. Getting ready for court.
How did it go?
Same old. Boring. Say this, don't say that. But hey, I might get a job out of it.
Oh shit! Congrats.
Thanks. I mean, it's not as cool as the New York Times, but
oh god, no. I I'm not getting hired by the New York Times,
you're-
Barb. Let's be real.
You're too
From Aaron's
modest,
room,
Claire.
you can hear, "Don't talk yourself down preemptively. Come on."
Okay. I am getting a job at the New York Times.
There you go.
It was fun to say.
Well, so are we really sure about taking you know who to you know where?
Aaron to New York?
Oh yeah, but she can hear us. You probably don't want to say it too loudly.
I mean, sure,
Look, I know-
but I don't think saying you know who to you know where is gonna fool anybody, Barb. There's not a lot of you know who's around.
I'm
Or a lot of you
trying
know
to be
where's, given the
sneaky.
Providing some cover, Aaron has turned on like the packing list jabs. She has loud pop playing because
Barb,
you can't do that at work.
Okay, look.
Barb, I love
I
you,
know-
but
I
you're
know that's been
terrible at
going
being
s-
sneaky.
Okay, look. Music's on. I'm just gonna let her rip here. Things have been going well, but New
Yeah.
York?
I know it's
Airplane packed full of people. I mean, there's a few more people in an airplane than there is in an Uber.
like bring her. It's a few hours. Bring snacks. Make sure she's well fed beforehand too. And yeah, I think we have some time to prepare. I think given the time to prepare, it should be fine.
All right, if you think so. I'm not sure it's a good idea, though. I
But
don't.
we're not sure anything is a good idea.
Well, it's not like everything's gone so smoothly.
Things have been going well.
Yeah, our Reynolds showed up at her place of work.
All the more reason to go out of state.
No, that's a fair point, but we need to keep her quiet.
I trust Aaron. Do you?
I trust my sister. I'm not sure that she's always the Aaron we know or knew. I mean, she did try to eat you, or have you forgotten?
She tried to bite me. I haven't forgotten.
Okay.
But it's not like any of us. We've all done crappy things.
It's not really an argument against what I'm saying.
Wasn't really under her control, you know?
I agree.
So now we know how it works. So
Again, I agree. We don't know how it works.
no, we do. What I was saying, we do. Now we know how it works.
Do we?
So we can prepare for it. Yeah. It's been what, a little more than a year? I feel like we've got a pretty good idea of her whole hunger schedule by now.
Okay. I'm not so sure, but you're right. She's been under control. It's been good. She's been good.
Yeah. Out of oh god. Great. Black chip. Out of character question. Is it like a fairly consistent timing sort of thing with when Aaron gets hungry or needs to eat? It's been a year. I figure we've racked up a fair number of data points. Is Claire completely talking out their ass, basically?
So basically, hunger schedule is like a person's hunger schedule. They need to eat a certain number of times a day. and a certain amount of food, and it's actually a comparable amount of of food, just human flesh instead of real food. The difference is, how like a person can sometimes go like almost the entire day and not feel hungry at all, and just not get around to eating. And then other times someone wakes up and they're like, I'm starving. The difference is the onset of hunger for Aaron has far less warning and is far more intense.
Okay.
So yes, you can like potentially have like all the food there ready to go because you know how much she needs to eat in a day. But if if she's out without her, lunchbox and it's like, oh, I'm feeling hungry. Now, mechanically, the way it's happened is making Aaron ravenous without having any food around is one of my moves that is associated with black chefs.
Yeah.
So either I make it so that the food that you thought was okay wasn't, or isn't actually easily available like it should be, or I, make it so that, or I just choose a different move. If you're in a situation where I think the food's like easy to have.
Okay. Well, Claire definitely doesn't know about the whole chips thing, so I think
Yeah.
their thinking is, we'll have to be careful, make sure Erin always has food with her. But with care, like the previous times it's happened, it's been because they weren't prepared. And it's been a long time since there's been an incident like that, so we can be prepared. I forget to eat all the time, so I don't really know what that's like.
So Aaron, you're kind of in the main room and listening to blaring music, and you notice an envelope gets slipped in under the door.
I'm gonna open that envelope.
It's filled with pictures. Oftentimes grainy pictures, but not always. Pictures of you right before tackling a person, or pictures of the chief of police, or of random other people.
I'm opening the door.
No one's there.
Gonna walk out a little bit and see if I can figure out where they went or anything. Nobody. Put the pictures back in the envelope.
Oh, hey, there's a note in the back.
Ew. What does it say?
It has an address that's a bit outside the city and a date and a time. The date is next week.
Huh. Okay. Gonna pack this stuff back up and walk over to my housemates. Say like, hey, so somebody left some mail in the single creepiest way possible, and it's full of pictures of me and says that I need to meet him in a week. And it sounds like the sort of date that you turned down, but I figured I should let you know that there's somebody stalking me. Which I guess I kind of already knew, because Chris is kind of weird about that kind of thing. But still.
So Barb's flipping through the photos, and you're not the only person in here.
Oh, I'm not. I must not have looked through all of them. Could I lean over her shoulder to see?
Yeah, totally the chief of police. So, some other random people that you don't recognize.
Oh, why
a lot of them have pictures of like security footage of, hey, there's a random person down the street. Oh, here's a person following them. Oh, hey, only one person leaves the alley.
Do we take this to the cops?
Well,
Is this like a group meeting, or?
Oh, sorry.
I'm just gonna flip it through. Going, okay, are they sending this to the chief of police too? Because that's like the worst person to blackmail ever.
Well, Claire, you're still buddy with Chief Rodriguez.
Yeah. I'm not. Maybe this would be better if it was handled through the normal traditional channels of like, hey, somebody's stalking me, and also these other people. I don't know.
So you don't want to hand over the photos of your cop buddy to your cop buddy?
Well, I will say the pictures of Aaron are definitely pictures of they're definitely pictures of Aaron stalking and killing people.
Oh.
Like, it doesn't necessarily show the murder, but it's very obvious, like, if someone researched it, oh, hey, that other person in the picture has gone missing.
Is
Okay,
Aaron the only one we can see from the photos stalking and killing people?
Oh, no, that's what all of these photos are about.
The chief of police ate people?
She's been acting pretty crazy, and she did get bit, so it's possible she got changed too.
Also, remember last year when you had lunch with her and a chunk of her hair just fell out?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, she's I thought I had told you guys about that. She's definitely also undead.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Which I think is why she's been like so polarizing, acting a little bit
in completely predictable ways that you could measure and control and would be perfectly safe to take somewhere like New York. That kind of acting.
Aaron just gives Barbara really, what on earth are you talking about look.
That sounds pretty insulting, Aaron.
Yeah, that's
yeah, so do you not want me to come along, Barb?
I'm not sure it's a good idea that any of us goes, especially now.
What, you don't...
Why don't you say what you're really thinking, Barb?
I think I have, that none of us should go.
You want Claire to turn down a job interview in New York because somebody took pictures of the chief of police?
And you?
Okay, do you mean me or do you mean all of us?
And are Reynolds showing up at your work? I mean, is this really a good time for us to be jaunting off to New York?
For a job interview.
Are you interviewing for a...
No, okay, but you said none of us should go. And so do you mean me or do you mean both of you?
I mean none of us. This is something that we need to take care of.
And how exactly are we going to take care of this, Barb?
Well, I don't think running away from it's going to take care of it.
Frankly, running away from this sounds like a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative is probably more blackmail fodder, so being out of state is a good plan.
Are we just going to stay out of state?
No.
And when we come back?
Then I can deal with it then.
Instead of now.
You want me to go tidy up all of my loose ends in town before I take any trips anywhere?
You do need to stockpile food.
I'm not sure trips anywhere are a good idea.
So I just live here forever and never go anywhere?
I don't know, but right now this does not feel right.
I put everything back in the envelope and close it very pointedly and kind of sit it on the counter and say like, well, I think I'm going to go take a walk or something. Claire, why don't you try talking to her?
Come on.
I think I've made my position clear. I think
Yeah, I
if we
guess
were
you
all
have.
thinking clearly, we'd see that this isn't a good idea.
I don't think it's fair to... I think that's reductive, to say that because we disagree with you, we're not thinking clearly.
It's not what I meant, and you know it.
And
That's
Aaron
what you
doubles
said.
back, having forgotten something, probably, or keys or something. And it's going to point out, and Claire's leaving us regardless, so we might as well have some fun with her before she's gone, okay?
Not...
Come on, Barb. And then close the door again.
I'm gonna be in the same city as you guys. We'll still hang out all the time. It's not leaving you.
I think now is a great time to take our mid-session break. With Aaron having left to take a walk, and Barbara and Claire arguing over basically what's okay for the future.
All right.
So 30 after?
Sounds good.
So I was distracted reading the how to bring frozen meat on a plane link.
Yeah, I did not actually read the full thing, but figured it presented useful, relevant information.
Well, given that the first result is, come on, this isn't hard to find. You can take meat on a plane. I figured, sure.
Exactly.
Let's
and I was going to read it, and then I spilled my water, so...
Well, during the argument, Claire, you get a phone call. Or as the argument was dying down.
Alright, 1 sec, I gotta take this. Yellow?
Hello, this is Janet Cadis calling for Claire Holloway. I'm the senior recruiter at the New York Times.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes. I was hoping that we could chat a little bit about the interview coming up. Do you have maybe 15 minutes, a half hour?
Yeah, I can do that. And I sort of give Barb a look. Not like a Matt look, like... and then I go into my room.
Yeah. So, she asks you kind of some of the expected questions and then some questions about your work. At the end, she's like, so the interview next week, I just want you to be prepared. I want you to bring your A game, but quite honestly, we believe that this is pretty much a formality at this point.
Oh, okay. Noted. And I mean, I'll still be, I'll still be giving it everything I got.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that, before you come out here, because I know that's going to be a big drive, what we're looking for in this position is we're noticing that the lines between celebrity and nightlife and politics are all getting more blurred. And we believe that with the way things are going now, we need someone who can kind of be on the New York scene and be able to write about all of it at the same time. Go out to a nightclub, schmooze with the big names in town, get an idea of who's saying what in politics, and basically write a complete piece. So this is, are you prepared for a lifestyle like that? Are you prepared to be here in New York, possibly working? I mean, you're not working 24/7, but you're working where basically where the events are.
Yeah.
So essentially, at any time, day or night, you might have to be somewhere, getting in with the right crowds.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely like to discuss it further in an interview. But yeah, and I think Claire is lying there. Not that they're definitely not sure that that's the sort of thing they would want to be doing specifically.
So,
but they're gonna feign at least being sure and enthusiastic about the idea for now.
So here's the thing, if you're coming out and you're going to interview, you're going, I get that this is a big opportunity and you don't want to say no to it, but I'm not really hearing the excitement. So it's okay to take a couple of days to think about this, but if you're coming out, you've got to want this. And I mean want it. Want it as in it is more, as in it's the most important thing in your life. Because I'll be honest, this type of position, it will be your life for at least the next few years. Now, once you've made a name on the national stage, you can start choosing your own beat. We've seen that happen, but this type of opportunity, we want this to go to somebody who's hungry. I've been following your writing for the last year. I think that's you. But like I said, you want the position. We got to hear. We got to hear that that's what you really want when you're out here in New York.
I think. Out of character, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but I don't think Claire is taking quite this long to say. I think I don't want to give up on this, but I'm also not sure, which I guess is your answer. Because I'm not sure.
Look, that's normal. This is a big change, and it would be a big move for you. That's why I wanted to say it now before you came out to New York. Why don't you take a couple of days, think about it, talk it over with your friends and family, and get back to me.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go back out and say, they want me to write about celebrities. And I know that's like out of character. I know that's
It was
not,
celebrities, nightlife, politics,
yeah.
the whole, everything kind of meshed together.
Yeah, I know that's not the whole of it out of character, but sort of Claire hears that and hears the idea of like having to go to nightclubs and write about what celebrities think as even about politics is not really what they imagine themselves doing. So, I don't know, actually. And they said the interview would basically be a formality. I knew it was a possibility, but I didn't really think it was like all that likely that this was something to consider. But I guess I have this job in New York if I want it, and I'm not sure I do.
Well, don't take it then.
Yeah, I think I need to think. I'm sorry about the whole, I'm sorry about the argument we had.
It's okay. Look, it's tense, as usual.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I think I just need to think about this, because if I don't want to interview, then God, that sort of recontextualizes the whole should we take a trip to New York argument, I guess. Yeah. I think I need to be alone for a little while. Just think. And I think Claire goes back in their room, and now they're the one putting on music. Party metal, I believe we established, was Claire's favorite genre in the first session.
So, Aaron, you're taking a walk, trying to clear your head. And as you're passing, not really paying much attention, I'm guessing, right? Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I'm probably tied up in that Barb. She's all Barb all the time side of things.
You do notice as someone is passing by you, they drop something like right in front of you. Like the fluttering catches your eye.
I'm gonna see what it is.
It's a black card with the name Enfillion. And on the back it says, "Why don't we have a chat?"
Aaron's just looking around like, does anyone see this? I mean, our Reynolds came by my workplace, and now who is this? Like, Noah Fillion wants to talk to me? Come on.
I mean, this is like the guy who passed by. He definitely is walking slowly. He wears the same black straight suit. He's broader than our Reynolds. Brown hair.
I'm gonna hurry to catch up to him. Yeah, waving the thing like, okay, so what do you want? What is this about?
So it took a while for my friend to find you. And honestly, it's a good thing because that tells me that you're not completely lost.
Okay, so pause. Is he Ryan Reynolds? Because I can't get anyone
this
else
is
to
totally
look at him.
Nathan Fillion.
No, asking Nathan Fillion. So is your friend Ryan Reynolds?
He just kind of shrugs.
Fine. Okay, fine. Sure. And I assume that you're like plausible deniability Nathan Fillion. Whatever. So what did you want with me?
So Ryan, he usually just says, find him. Easy way to go.
Finally, in a way that his name is Ryan.
But the fact that you've been hard to track down tells me that you might be a candidate for the farm.
So, do you mean that in the "we sent the dog to the farm" thing? Or like, this doesn't sound good? Or wait, are you with the CIA?
Look, ever since, me and Ryan and the whole cast, things kind of went down on, with Two Guys, a Girl, and I had to share it. The whole cast of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place are zombie hunters. That's why I decided this session.
Sorry, muting myself intermittently because I keep just dying here.
Look, we've been trying to manage the situation. Now, most of the time it's get rid of it, but there's a couple that, people in your condition that we try to see if we can manage them a different way until we can kind of figure out what the hell is causing all of this. Now the thing is if we're going to do that, we got a big issue though that I'm hoping you might be able to help out with before, we find you, we take you up to the farm. And no, it's an actual farm.
Okay, so if I work with you, then I go live on a farm and do like farm chores or something? I'm not really getting this business model.
It's a safer place for people like you. Easier to manage. I'm not gonna pretend that it's the best quality of life. But
more like
considering the other options is my friend Ryan takes advantage of that little red dot aimed at the back of your head.
I'm just gonna raise a single finger assuming that he will see it in his scope.
Yeah, Ryan doesn't appreciate that.
I don't really care what he appreciates at this moment. He's really aggressively weird.
You don't know the half of it.
So it doesn't sound like I've got much of a choice here.
I mean, there's always a choice. Look, I personally, would rather not having to bash your head in with a hammer.
That works for me too, in general.
But we found that if people don't actually choose to go to the farm, they usually don't last very long. So
But I
decide
mean,
whether
if
you
the
want.
campaign to find me, then aren't I doing pretty well here already?
Oh, you're still killing people.
I mean, that's gonna happen at the farm too, right? You don't have like tofu humans for us?
The farm is near a state that still believes in capital punishment.
Okay, but that happens pretty rarely, and like we gotta eat, and
It happens more than
that's. I'm not really seeing how it's a better thing. I mean, this is really Barb's thing to talk you through the philosophy of farming people and everything, but it seems like free range is a bit kinder.
Look. Here's the deal. If the chief of police is dead in a week, then I know you want to go to the farm.
Wait, you're asking me to take a hit? Oh, you're putting a hit on the chief of police with me.
We haven't been able to get close to her. So...
And you've got a sniper?
You help us out with that.
You're really bad at this.
She's very public.
But you've got a sniper.
Trust me, it's never that simple. Cops know how to deal with snipers. They're prepared for that shit. Plus, when you're Deadpool, everyone kind of recognizes when you're toting around a sniper rifle.
Okay, but not really, because every time I've asked someone if that's definitely Ryan Reynolds, they've been, I don't know. I mean, but anyway, so your idea for this is that I somehow kill the chief of police, and then you spirit me away onto this farm as witness protection almost, and then I live there eating criminals forever.
Pretty much. I mean, think about it this way.
My family about this?
Oh, of course. And honestly, most of our candidates end up doing it for their family. I mean, how much of a burden is your condition on them?
Wow, you're really going for just bag of dicks here, aren't you?
Part of the job.
Everyone told me Nathan Fillion's so nice in person. Yeah, so are we done here, or do I need to be careful about not sneezing because Ryan Reynolds has an itchy trigger finger, or what?
Are you going to lunge at my throat?
No.
Then you're good.
I just ate.
And then he starts walking away.
I'm gonna U-turn and go back home at increased speed.
And let's call this the final crisis. So we have some decisions here. Does Aaron kind of give up and let Aaron and Claire and Barbara pursue their dreams? Is Claire willing to give up the family to go to New York? What about Barb's job offer, which she actually has not mentioned, that involves her traveling around the country all the time? These are things that you guys need to figure out. So we're going to come back as a family. And it's time to discuss what your future is like. And after that discussion, we'll do a summary of how things, basically epilogue of what happens to the family afterwards based on your choices. And then that would be the game. Everyone's waiting for someone else to start talking.
I wasn't sure we were supposed to start talking now, or if this was like Jeopardy music or what. But
no, this is family conversation time.
Okay. So yeah, Erin's gonna burst back in and say that she needs the contact info for the chief of police because not only Ryan Reynolds but Nathan Fillion are plotting to kill her. And this sounds made up, but it's not. I've got a note from Nathan Fillion. He's a jerk.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, Claire's in their room. But I think they'll probably hear this and then just turn back around and go back into their room. Cannot deal with that right now. That's too much.
I'd like to point out the point of this is to have the family conversation.
I know. No, I think they probably come back out a little later. Wow. Yeah. With Chief Rodriguez's contact info. And gives it to Aaron. Jeez. So I apparently essentially have the job in New York if I want it. And I think I do want it.
I mean, that's great. Nathan Fillion's talking about putting me on a farm upstate, but yeah, that's great.
I what? A farm?
It's weird. Yeah. They have a zombie farm where they keep all of the, well, not zombies, but all the me's.
Was he saying you're like, this is happening whether or not you want it?
He just said that people who go along willingly tend to last longer. But I can get extra brownie points at the farm if I murder the chief of police for him. Which seems like the sort of thing you report to the chief of police.
Yeah. I think that's report worthy. I don't... That's... Jesus.
So can we go to Chief Rodriguez now? Are we all in agreement?
Yeah, I think. Maybe we should just... We know she's undead. Maybe we just...
I think the correct word is
changed,
pretend. Not undead.
We never decided on...
I mean, we don't know what she prefers to go by. I mean...
Well,
we never decided on established terminology.
Do you prefer undead? Gross, icky, undead.
It's better than zombie.
Putting a value judgment on it. Come on.
Changed is so
Don't we
vague.
all put value judgments on everything?
We're all changed.
I know it doesn't really imply much of anything, but
look. Okay, semantics aside, Can we go to the chief?
Yeah,
seems like
I
the
wonder if
proceed.
we shouldn't just drop pretense with her as well.
Because we have a whole stack of pictures of people who are presumably changed, and 2 changed hunting Canadians. I think the numbers are on our side, right?
Yeah. Well, what did he mention? Did Nathan Fillion mention any other? What have Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion been together?
He said like since the crew broke up or something. I mean, it sounds like there's more of them, but I don't know if there's more in town right now.
Yeah, I think we go to the chief. I'll give her a call and say it.
What's up?
Hey, chief. We need to meet like urgently.
Sure, come on, come over to my office. I'm just having dinner right now.
Cool. Well, that was easier than I thought. Let's go.
Yeah, so her assistant is like, she's waiting for you.
Okay. Are you okay?
Fine. Then she whispers under my breath, my life is a one long nightmare.
Okay. Good luck with that. Hey, chief. Brought friends.
Yeah, so you come into the office and just right sprawled across her desk is the disemboweled body of Jillian Bach. And the chief of police is just like, hey, Chica, what's up?
Oh, that's what they had in common. That.
Huh?
Oh. Yeah, okay. That show. 2 Guys and Girl.
Sorry? Sounds like an all-you-can-eat buffet to me.
So,
Whoa, you're just really open about this. Okay, cool.
yeah.
I'm gonna go in for
Aaron, do you wanna...
the changed 5.
Oh, you want a bite? She's actually offering it to all 3 of you.
I probably can't turn it down if she's offering it, so I will take some.
I'm good. Barbara and I still don't eat human.
No thanks.
She's vegan. I just don't like the taste.
It's a shame you don't know what you're missing.
I feel like I have some idea of what I'm missing. But yeah.
So what did you want to chat about?
Well, Aaron, do you want to take this?
So, I know this sounds crazy, but Nathan Fillion asked me to kill you so that Ryan Reynolds doesn't have to, and then they're going to send me to a farm. I have the note from him.
So it really was Ryan Reynolds all this time.
I know, right? It's so weird.
So weird. I mean, and then this bitch just comes at me today with an axe. I mean, she's all upset that I, ate a jogger, that I was eating a jogger or some shit.
Yeah, well, and like Nathan Fillion was going like, oh, it was so hard to find you. You must be being very responsible about this. But also he has a problem with us, which is weird. Because, I mean, if he hadn't tracked you down, I mean, you must be doing okay.
Oh, no, he's been after me for like a year now. Last 6 months, I couldn't tell what was going on with this family.
I've been trying to keep it discreet, I
mean, so just you then? You haven't had an urge to, nibble on, your 2 little friends here?
I mean, once early on, but I've got precautions now.
See, Me and my wife, we've been tearing up ISIS the fun way this last year. And eventually that will
Wait,
run
ICE
out.
or
But hey, then
ISIS?
I'm sorry, ICE, not ISIS.
I'm gonna
That's
cast
maybe-
Claire a sort of look like, and you go to lunch with this person regularly?
And then
Not regularly.
I figure eventually those ICE agents will will taper out. But this state's got plenty of Republicans. I figure we've got a good 50, 60 years of just all you can eat asshole buffet going on around here. Of course, we got to deal with this, celebrity hunter bullshit first. But hey, I'd love your help killing these assholes. Want to go right now?
I mean, that's not exactly what I was thinking, but I guess that's an option.
Do you think David Ogden Steers was part of the crew? He was only on the show for the first season, according to Wikipedia.
Who cares?
And
We'll
then
just
he
eat 'em anyway.
died.
Have you been Googling probable zombie hunters while we're standing here?
I googled the cast of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
I did too. Who cares? We'll just eat the whole cast.
I mean, like, it's not like I remember everybody that was on that show. Yeah, no, I'm just curious where
lighting crew.
David
It's
Ogg liked
fine.
that guy. I liked him. Wonder if he's undead.
Just to be clear, when you say kill these assholes, which look, I'm on board with the whole ideological bent you got going here, but you mean the undead zombie changed whatever hunters, right? That's the assholes you want to kill?
Oh yeah, good.
I mean, there's some of the assholes I want to kill.
So do you have like an asshole list?
If someone pisses me off, I eat them.
I think we would love to help you out, but actually we have a trip scheduled. We're gonna be out of town for a bit. So
Oh, that sounds like fun. Where are you going?
New England area.
Tons of assholes out there to eat. You, madame, you are going to have such a fun time just like slaughtering and eating all those yuppie scum. Oh,
anyway,
honestly, I'm a little jealous.
Sorry to interrupt your dinner. You should probably get going. Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Hey, text me anytime you you want to eat a guy's dick. Not in a sexual way. It's actually a pretty good part.
You're not interested in
I'll pass.
that in either context. See you later, Chief.
Later. Oh, and by the way, if you double cross me, you're next on my list. It's a very short list.
I thought you didn't have a list.
Well, it just doesn't last very long.
Well, let's say that my list is really, really short, and coming after either of them puts you at the top. And also someone asked me to kill you, so maybe don't push things too far.
I mean, if we want to throw down, we might as well do it here, but...
Okay, Barb, let's go.
I'd rather it not come up. So, yeah. Nice to meet you. Hope I never see you again. Goodbye.
Let's leave right now, thanks very much. Goodbye.
Yeah, so that
it's going to be, you keep such weird company, Claire.
She wasn't that like that the last time. She's been like pretty foul mouthed for a while, but I have not been lunching with that for the past year. I don't think.
I'm not sure if that means that she's usually tamer or if you're just not very observant or what, but oh my.
You know me, I'm observant. She's not. I'm just saying, if she's been like that this whole time, she has not been as indiscreet about it as she is now.
So, about that trip to New York, are we going?
I
Because
kind of
this
like
does not look good here. And maybe an extended trip to New York?
I don't hate the idea of moving to New York, honestly.
Because shit's going down here. I don't like the chief, and I certainly don't like the farm.
No, I don't really like the chief either anymore. And frankly, I feel like we should do something about her whole thing, but also she will kill us, and
I think maybe we just let these assholes sort each other out.
You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't like either of them. I don't want to help either. I don't. Either side is bad.
All right, let's move to New York. Or, I mean, really anywhere far away from here, but we were talking about New York already.
Yeah, literally anywhere sounds like a good move at this point.
Yeah. Do you want to drive then, instead of flying out?
I'd be down for a road trip.
And, remove that whole issue of getting past security and being on a plane,
Yeah, and fewer choke points for sudden Deadpool sniping.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, let's go right now. How about?
Sounds good. Let's go pack.
Way ahead of you. Yay.
Okay, so it sounds like your decision was, let's stay in town and side with the mayor. Oh wait, the mayor has become side with the chief of police. Oh wait, the chief of police is a monster, and that's why Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion wanted her dead. So you're booking it to New York.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
I make sure to say goodbye to Ted.
What
You've always been there for me, Ted.
What do you think changes with your guys' relationships out in New York? I mean, first off, Barbara, do you take the job with the ACLU?
Yeah, I don't know, because initially I was gonna have her turn it down because she was interested in her community organizing locally and the family. But now if they're all going to New York, she doesn't have her local community organizing that she's started. So either she starts organizing in New York or takes up the offer, assuming there is one, from the ACLU. I mean, I'm guessing if she's gonna pick up and go to New York with the family, she's gonna try to organize in New York. So probably whatever comes from the ACLU, probably turn it down.
Okay. Well, financially, then things are a bit tight in New York because, the only one pulling a good, what's considered a good salary in New York would be Claire. So money's a bit tight. But on the plus side, Claire might be busy all the time, but Barbara would be probably pretty available. But as far as the family dynamic, how does that change? What does Aaron want to do in New York? Are you going to still just try to subside, or are you going to find things that you're passionate about?
I want to explore the city and do sorts of cool things and probably like get a job as like a walking tour guide or something. So I'm just kind of doing stuff all over the place instead of being chained up in a freezer. But yeah, I'm not going to make a lot of money, but I will entertain myself.
And if the tourist
And people in
disappears every now and
elephants.
again,
I mean, there's a lot of people there, so
It's New
you know,
York.
per capita crime statistics end up kind of low.
Yeah. I mean, okay, New York isn't especially dangerous anymore, but
Yeah, I mean, out of character, I've had New Yorkers go, "Oh, it's so dangerous," and I'm like, I live in the murder capital of the country. Don't talk to me.
yeah, no, it's really not. But people think it is, so somebody goes missing every now and then.
How about the the family dynamic? Is it still, Erin trying to do everything she can to avoid being a burden on everyone else? Does Barbara and Claire continue to feel like they're always on the watch out to try to take care of Erin and make sure she's under control?
I think Claire is ready to be is willing to be a little more trusting of Erin, and is, has to be if they're going to pursue their job, which takes up most of their time. And I think it means like when they're not on the job, they're a little more, they're more content with just having to deal with whatever family stuff comes up, because most of the time they're just working and they're not able to let stuff with Erin sort of get in the way with that.
I think Barb will probably, well, at least right now, will still probably treat Erin like she needs to be taken care of, watched, protected, and might slowly build a resentment towards Claire for not feeling the same way. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the overprotective family member versus the one that's trying to be trusting, and the two kind of having friction because of that.
Probably, yeah.
Erin, how does it feel to be stuck in the middle of that?
I think Erin's sort of relieved to not be doing so much trying to bottle herself up and make herself acceptable to the rest of the family, but definitely resents, in sort of the same way she already did resent Barb being the one who's just kind of acting like her keeper most of the time. And has no resentment to Claire for not doing that, because Claire is pursuing her dreams and, living the big New York life and everything's awesome. And yeah, she's pursuing her dreams so hard, she just left the group chat. I mean, they are pursuing their dreams so hard.
Sorry about that. That was not even an internet issue. That was just me accidentally closing the tab like an idiot.
It happens sometimes.
Well, yeah, as I was saying, they're pursuing their dreams so hard, they just left the group chat on us. So it's appropriate.
So how does the family deal with the fear of when the next cast member of Two Guys, a Girl, and Pizza Place is going to show up?
One. And
which one is it?
The chief ate one. Oh, she said she ate a lady with an axe. I thought that was probably the girl.
It was Jillian Bach, who played Irene for 31 episodes. Who that is, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, out of character, I've never seen that show.
I remember seeing it in the 90s, and it was like entertaining, but I don't remember much about it. It was, however, the start, kind of Ryan Reynolds and Nathan Fillion's kind of start. So, like, they did other things. I checked IMDb to figure out which show is going to be all the hunters and who Ryan Reynolds' buddies are. I'm like, two guys, girl in a pizza place, that gives me Nathan Fillion. Awesome.
I think Claire does remain curious about David Ogden Stiers and whether David Ogden Stiers might still be alive as an undead. Because they're big a David Ogden Stiers fan.
Fair.
And Aaron does sort of like the idea that they're this group of hardcore zombie hunters with their zombie buddy, because it makes sense. They run a farm.
What if they killed him?
Oh, that is cold.
That might have been what kicked off the them as a zombie hunting troop.
So they were just having a cast reunion, and they were like, "Oh no, guys, David is a zombie now. We got to do something about all the zombies."
But yeah, what do you do? Because you know that this group of zombie hunters is out there, and Claire is still very public, and pretty easy to find.
I think that, for Barb anyway, a kind of killing two birds with one stone. She is going to try to do this kind of zombie organizing thing in New York. On the one hand, she thinks this is going to help keep Aaron safer, and on the other hand, maybe it'll be kind of a defense against our two guys, a girl and a pizza place hunters. So I think that's Barb's plan, is to try to, I don't know, be an ally to the changed.
You run a
zombie underground.
I was going to say a support group.
A support group, yes.
Yeah.
I was picturing, like a basement support group. Hi, I'm Aaron. I eat the flesh of the living.
Just because I'm dead doesn't mean I'm not alive. That's like the mantra. Just because we're dead doesn't mean we're not alive.
Is if/when the whole existence of the undead thing goes public, I think it's something Claire would want to write about. Not like necessarily saying, "Oh, yeah, my sister is an undead," but not biological sister, obviously. But
Aaron's like, I always thought of you as a sister too.
I thought that was a given. But I think it'd be something Claire would be interested in seeing if they could write about, and like, hey, these are still people.
I mean, if we ran another campaign of this, just start because essentially there's a new family dynamic, so you could remake the game with and do a second campaign of it. If the Red Final Crisis went through, yeah, that's totally a legitimate response. Is write a book about zombies, undead, the changed. Whatever becomes the
write a book about what the proper terminology is.
Well, yeah, in the chat, talking about identity first versus person first terminology for the change. This is good. It was good. It was a good chat.
So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys had fun.
Absolutely. A little rough the last session, but overall, yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, I still really enjoyed this family dynamic, and it was fun. And it was definitely fun trying to evade Ryan Reynolds, because that has never come up in a game before.
That Ryan Reynolds is trying to kill you.
And we all stayed together. We didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
which was nice.
Yeah,
True.
there's
We all
a
let down
danger
for
of that.
you.
Yeah. The chief brought us together. I think
Maybe I should have spent more time to reveal the chief as like completely having degraded as a monster. But that's where I thought like what was going to happen with the chief.
I kind of like
And
that
we
because I
did do
totally
it
thought we're going to
first.
go to a rational, well-contained zombie, and we're going to talk about this like adults. And no, she was right off the wall.
I mean, it's basically a different thing that happened. Was rather than the change being constrained and having that as it, the basically the person going through that completely losing constraints, and people not knowing how where to draw the line, and obviously she was totally traumatizing all of the people around her in her life.
Although it sounds like her wife was an enabler if they
Yeah.
had their own little family.
I figured that eventually down the line, the chief of police probably would have been like, it'll be way more fun if my wife was also undead, so I'm going to bite her. Because that sounds like a great idea without any consequence.
I think if we were going to do another campaign in that hypothetical scenario, Claire would change to being the investigator, but with a focus on figuring out whether David Ogden Steers is a zombie.
Just being obsessive about it.
And just really wanting to know how the cast of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place ended up becoming zombie hunters, because you gotta admit, that's a fascinating question.
Base that's a pizza place? These are the big questions.
Yeah.
Two Guys, a Girl, and a secret base.
It's a fascinating story. Hey, look over there. I didn't want to come up with it.
No, I think it's better without answers, frankly.
Although now I want to play a campaign of The Final Girl, where the cast of characters is the cast of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, and the monster is a flesh-eating zombie. Of course, that wouldn't be the story of how it happened, because only one character survives in The Final Girl, but still.
More like David Ogden Steers.
It's terrible. So as far as the game goes and how it was operating, obviously we encountered some trouble last session in figuring out what happens to the game when there stops being strife, basically stops being friction within the family. And that seems to happen most often when members of the family just kind of give up on what they really want, which is an important thing to find out. But other than that, what were some observations that you had as far as the rules go, the game goes? Because this is something that I want to continue developing and seeing if I can get a finished product out of it.
So this might be addressed in the GM stuff, but I haven't read the entire thing through today, so it's out of my head if I did read it at some point. Do the other color chips ever come up for the changed, or do they only trigger black chip things? I wasn't sure if that was just our generally being weighted more toward black chips, or if the fact that I only ever got the black ones was because I can only get the black ones.
The reason why I triggered black ones only on you? They aren't.
Or the only chips that I got were black ones, and the people got non-black ones. So I wasn't sure if there was a decided division, or if it just shook out that way, or what.
It just kind of shook out that way. And I think part of it was I had less of an idea of how to target you with green chips was part of it.
That's very fair. I mean, black chips had clear applications.
Yeah, black chips are really easy to target the changed with, but the ones where it's a new hunter of the undeath arrives or a new zombie reveals themselves. Those are both really those are the two I can do on other people. And we did see that. Clearer in the first session was out, at that dinner event, and I drew a black chip, and I'm like, yep, the chief of police gets tackled by a guy who starts biting her. And actually also happened to Barbara. That's where we introduced Art Reynolds, was a black chip. And I think that's something that I do need to be on the lookout for is, red and white chips kind of can trigger, can target the family as a whole. Although, Ryan, you were targeted with a white chip when you got called into work for the
right, okay,
for the inspection.
And this wasn't a criticism. I was just trying to figure out what the rules are.
Yeah,
from having played it, though whether it's come up more often or if it's weighted.
Yeah, no, some of the chips are suggestively weighted, but not like mechanically weighted.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions? How did you feel about triggering keys and moves?
I wasn't always sure because there were, and I think this is just because we're playing over Hangouts and, when we're interacting, David, your box gets small, so we can't see if you're pulling chips or dropping chips, but I wasn't always sure if I was hitting keys or making moves when I thought I was. So, but again, that might just be because we were on Hangouts. And I'm trying to, let me look real quick here. I think I felt like while I was playing, I think I hit, some of the keys, but I rarely did the moves, I think. Or at least I did keys more often than moves. And again, it might have just been the way I was playing, but I did feel like that was happening.
Do you think that it might have been a play materials thing in that, you kind of have, at least on my screen to see everything, you kind of have to scroll through. Whereas if, you have your character sheet, it's all all of your stuff is right in front of you. And then there's a cheat sheet that has everyone's stuff. Do you think it might be easier in person where everything's just there and easy to see?
It might be. I did often find myself scrolling through that summary page to see what I could do and what I could help others hit. So it might have been easier to have a printout in front of me. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that's just well.
But I think that happens with all these Hangout games that have the character keepers. You're always scrolling through them. So I don't think it's unique to this game. I find myself doing it a lot. So.
No, and I do think that is something with online games is if someone's less familiar with the game or with online Hangouts, sometimes, it is harder for them to remember all the mechanical stuff. But I'm just trying to get an idea of to what degree should I try to address it in the game design, because this is the first time I ran on Hangouts, and the issues I had before were sometimes people weren't going for the stuff very often. And what I found was people were forgetting it. And that's why I created a cheat sheet and the paper documents. When it came to the actual character keeper, I'm like, okay, let's just try to get everything on one main page, and that should do the same thing. And, I kind of noticed that we still had that trouble, and I wondered if it was because I know with me, it's okay, people are talking, I want to look at them talking. I don't necessarily am going to be glancing at materials, trying to think of how to trigger things. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing to try to gauge.
I do think the cheat sheet was helpful, and I think Ryan already said this once, but on each of the pages it has tips for playing your playbook. So that was helpful for sure. Kind of like a reminder of the kind of main things you want to do while playing this playbook. So that was helpful.
Yeah, I love the player agenda thing, essentially, because if you tell me what I was supposed to be doing, then I'm going to try to do that really hard.
Yeah.
Unless I forget to pull it up one session.
Well, and I think that's something I should have done on the character keeper that I missed, was to have those suggestions very easy to find. That said, holy crap, there's a lot in that character keeper.
One thing I noticed about the Confidant's character, just that playbook, and I don't know if this was purposeful, but all of their moves, the triggers are external. Like, Confidant can't actually trigger any of their own moves.
Right. No.
One of their keys they can, but I didn't know if that was purposeful, but it struck me as possibly a contributing factor in making the Confidant feel very passive, which is sort of like, I guess, in line for what a Confidant is. But I don't know, that might be something to look at.
No, I think you make a great point. I think that I should probably rework the Confidant to make it a little easier to set things up. I was trying to set this game up so people were trying to set each other up for triggering off keys and things, but I think I agree. We need to, I think the moral compass too, I need to look for better ways to give them the opportunity to really just punch their stuff a lot more.
Yeah, I did feel like, and it might just be me, but I did feel like if I wasn't doing the kind of social justice, immigrants' rights stuff, I was being a wet blanket for the family. It was either like I was out doing something in the community, or I was just crapping all over what other people wanted to do. And again, that might just be the way I was playing it, but it felt like since I was geared towards saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that," or "I think that's wrong," I was always just saying, and maybe that's what it's supposed to be, I don't know, but I was always just saying, I was always throwing up roadblocks for whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, I definitely want. So, going back to the inspiration for the game, the Santa Clarita Diet, the moral compass was definitely the daughter, the person who says, "Wait a second, that's fucked up. Why are we doing that?" It shouldn't be a no, don't do that. It should be a wait a second, is this really like the right thing to be doing right now? And I totally get what you're saying. I think the bones of what I want it to be is there, but at the same time, I think it does encourage people more likely to do the wet blanket thing. And I think the wet blanket thing is okay. What's not okay is if every time someone picks it up, they're like, I end up playing this as a wet blanket. So that definitely, I agree. Something that I want to take a look into and try to rework. I'm probably going to take like 2 weeks to a month before I touch it. Just so that I have some time to relax and decompress and things like that. But that is, I agree. That's something that I want to take a closer look into.
I wonder if, given what you just said, like for example, the key of the wake-up call, maybe instead of it being something like you help a family realize they've crossed a line, I don't know, because when I read that initially, I thought it was kind of like I need to show them they've done something wrong. But the way you were just talking about the daughter from Santa Clarita Diet, it sounds like it's more like a, hey, let's stop and talk about this. Are we doing the right thing? So it's not so much you're doing something wrong, but it's, are we doing the right thing? And I don't know. I don't know how you mechanically flag that, or if it, again, or if it was just me misreading it. But
no, I think I agree. I think it's the right premise and the wrong wording. Probably open it up, make it something more about getting a family member to re-examine what they're doing or what they're thinking of doing. But yeah. Otherwise, any other thoughts on the design?
I had one other thought, and it's come up before, but I kept trying to find ways to have Barbara confide in Claire, but Barbara always seemed mad at Claire because she thought Claire was doing something wrong. So it was like, why would I confide in them if I'm mad at them? So, and again, I don't know, that might just be particular to our game. But it did, given what Alex said about it was hard to have moves triggered because it was always external. And then I felt like I had a disincentive to trigger that move, fictionally speaking. I don't know. It was just an observation I had while we were talking about it.
I mean, that sounds like a very human thing. Like, I really want to talk to this person about something that's bothering me, but at the same time, I'm annoyed at them for this reason. I don't want to talk to them. I would say that. So my background of this is I've played a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse, and the philosophy I've taken with Powered by the Apocalypse is I like to do the thing that I like to make decisions to mechanically trigger the things that I'm interested in seeing mechanically triggered, and then figuring out what that means for the character. However, not everyone else has that habit.
I totally try to do that in games. People will be like, okay, no, just tell me what you're doing and we'll see which move fits. And I'm like, but I'm trying so hard to hit the key of the crying shoulder. Just let me cry on someone's shoulder. And I never did manage to make that happen in this game.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and it's tough. And I hope I wasn't contributing to that. But yeah, it really is. And maybe that's something that I need to, like, I haven't really spent much time on the how to play, really coaching someone through and doing that example of play. Maybe I really have to, spend some time and put in there that choose the mechanic, follow the mechanics you're interested in, and the fiction will get generated from that. Because that's what I designed the mechanics to do. I think that's what a lot of the best Powered by the Apocalypse mechanics, how they work too. I mean, and the funny thing is if you look at Monster Hearts, people do that all the freaking time in Monster Hearts. But then they move into another Powered by the Apocalypse system, and they have so much trouble doing that idea. And the whole reason for it, I think, is they're like, oh, I'm like a teenager. I'm insane. Sorry, teenagers. It's kind of true. But yeah, sorry, little bit of a.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. I want to thank you guys for being so awesome throughout this, being patient, trying something new. really getting into the characters and digging into the family drama aspects of it. And I know that, family is not always an easy thing. So, I'm glad that you were willing to take this journey with me, and especially putting up with the fact that me running the game, I am an unforgiving asshole, especially when running games like this. Like, yes, I was trying to twist the knife quite a few times there. So thank you for putting up with my my sadistic side.
Just when everything's going okay, my eye falls out, and so on.
And I would like to say I love that, actually. Like, I mean, my personal attitude when playing these sort of games is just to go in and say, okay, fuck me up. So I had a blast. It was a great time.
Yeah, and similarly, I was going, I hope that Ryan doesn't think I'm mad at him because he's ruining all my fun. But Barb being a wet blanket was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it as much like the zombie being perpetually making my body parts fall off and otherwise a jerk. How dare you?
Yeah, I had a ton of fun too, and I'm glad that nobody thought I was actually Barb and that I'm actually a wet blanket trying to ruin everybody's fun. So, no, it was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you sharing it with us, David. So,
Well, awesome. At some point, I'm sure I'm going to post another campaign of this. Obviously, if you want to give it another try, you are more than welcome to. Also, if you want to try running it yourself, more than welcome to print out the document and try it yourself. I'd love to hear any feedback that you have trying to run it yourself. I'll probably post when I go ahead and do an update to the rules. Well, cool. Awesome. See you guys around on the Slack, and anyone who's put up with watching this, well, thanks for watching, and definitely reach out to me if you have any questions about the game.
Yeah, see you around.
y'all.